Hello incredible friends. Today I am coming to you with a tutorial for this card. You are simply amazing. And this uses an emboss resist technique. So I'm going to be teaching you how to make this one today. This uses a corduroy ribbon, which I actually forgot to get out before I started this recording. So I might use some twine that I think I have at hand. But anyhow, we will show you how to make this one. And this is just a gorgeous card. It's hard to get all those colors. Hopefully you can see them really good. But anyway, without further ado, we're gonna get started. So let's see if hopefully you guys can see this. And so what we're going to be using today, and all the dimensions will be on my blog, but I'm using some scrap pieces of Knighted Navy cardstock, and this is the thick Whisper White note card. It's just an A2 size, so cut at 5.5 by 8.5, and then scored at 4 1/4. And then I have this Whisper White panel here, which is what we're going to do our stamping and embossing on. And today's card is featuring this Amazing You stamp set. I'm using the floral, and the You are simply amazing. So these words, I'm using all the stamps today are from this one set. Now, this is one of the free products that you can get with a $50 purchase, but you only have a couple more days to get that. The other supplies we're using today are I'll turn these around so you can see them, but we're using 4 inks. This is the Night of Navy ink, the Berry Burst, Tempting Turquoise, and Lemon Lime Twist. And then you'll also need your Versamark ink pad. And we're also going to be using some sponges. Now, these are dirty, they're clean. I use the same sponges over and over and over, so they do get stained. But when I'm done, I rinse them out and I wash them with like Dawn dish soap. And so they're clean. They don't smudge anything, but they do get stained. But anyway, we have those sponges, and I already have mounted my stamps onto the clear blocks just to make that quicker. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to need to do is our embossing technique. So what I'm going to do is take our embossing buddy. If you don't have one of these and you do embossing, this is a great tool you really need to have. It's got this powder on it, and you want to just take your cardstock that you're going to be embossing on and just rub this embossing powder across it. This will keep the oils that are in your fingers and hands from sticking, from the embossing powder from sticking to it when we get to that point. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is, got my mounted stamp here and my Versamark pad, and I'm going to ink up my stamp. And you're probably going to have a hard time seeing this on camera, but I'm just going to randomly stamp this image, and it stamps in clear because we're going to emboss. So I kind of have to pick it up. You may not be able to capture this on, or I may not be able to capture on camera, because you can see it up in person. You just have to kind of tilt your paper. But I just want to make sure that I don't stamp on top of what I just stamped. So I'm kind of picking it up to see where the image starts and stops, to make sure that I don't stamp in that exact same spot. And I'm just going to keep randomly stamping, and some of them will be off edge. And I think that one actually got a little bit mixed up together. I got one little section here that I can... Okay, so that's inked up. And in case you don't know this, when you are storing your Versamark, you want to store it upside down. You know, Stampin' Up! Pads are designed so that when they're closed, the ink pad is actually upside down. Like you see the ink pad there. and we store it this way. So the ink pad is right there and it's stored upside down. But on stamp pads like this, where it's not the ink pad is on the bottom than when you want to store that upside down. That'll help keep it from drying out. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do, we gotta emboss. So now I'm gonna take my embossing powder here, and actually I'm gonna get a scrap piece of paper out as well, because I don't want to get embossing powder everywhere. Let me move that stamp out of the way as well. So I've got my white embossing powder here, and I just keep it stored in this container. And I am just going to take some spoonfuls of this powder, and I'm just going to sprinkle it all across my card. And then we'll tap the excess off and put it back in the bin when we're done. So just kind of make sure that this gets all over your card. Tap off the excess. It is a little bit messy, or I find it messy. Some people are neater at this than I am, but I still seem to get embossing powder everywhere. It's a controlled chaos is what I would call it. It's not really chaos. Okay, so I'm gonna set this piece of paper to the side just so that I don't blow any of the loose powder off anywhere. And then you will need a heat tool for this. And I forgot to heat this up prior to getting on video. So we'll just give it a minute to warm up a little bit. And it might be hard for me to capture this part on camera as well. If you've never embossed, it turns from this kind of image to a clearer image. And be careful when you're doing this. Usually what I do is I'll just take an ink pen right here just to hold it down. All right, I think that looks good. Then I don't know if you can see. No, I still got a spot that did not emboss, so let me, I think that did it. Yeah. So I don't know if you can tell on camera, it's got a shinier finish. Okay, so now that we have that done, we're going to go ahead and start with our sponging. And for the sponging today, I'm using the 3 colors, Berry Burst, the Tempting Turquoise, and the Lemon Lime Twist. So we're going to start with the Lemon Lime Twist. And you're just going to grab one of your sponges for this, and you're just going to want to dab it in the ink. Now you want to start on the paper because you don't want to get this excess ink onto the card. It'll be too heavy in one spot and gets hard to kind of even out. And you'll know your ink pads the best. You know, some people know, oh, this ink pad is really juicy and this one's more dry. So it kind of depends on your ink pad too, but this is how you want to start out. And I'm just going to go ahead and you just kind of want to layer on the color. So I'm just going to start in this one corner, and I'm just getting on a few different layers of this green until I get it the shade that I want. I kind of want it really bright and popping. So that's what and we can always go back and add a little bit. And when you're doing the sponging, you kind of want to start with your lighter colors first. It's just easier that way. And then I am going to dab little dots of this color in a few other places as well. Because we're going to be cutting this panel into strips. And so I want to make sure that there's a variety of color in each strip. And this is just random. This is just whatever you like, wherever you like it, and however much color you like. Okay, so I think that looks good for the green. So we're gonna put our Lemon Lime Twist aside, and now I'm gonna go to the Tempting Turquoise. And my Tempting Turquoise, I am going to put, oops, see that one, this ink pad's a little bit darker. So I am gonna splatter some color kind of in between these two. Ooh, I love how that turns out. And I'll put a little bit maybe in between these. And then maybe a little dab, maybe right here, just in this corner. And I could overlap this a little bit too. All right, so you see how fast that one, I might want just a little more color right in there. Okay, so I'm done with my tempting turquoise. And now I'm gonna go on to my berry burst. And each time I'm using a different sponge for each of these colors because you don't want to mix that up. All right, and so then all the places left in this little panel that have white cardstock, I'm just going to run my ink over those. And again, you can make it as dark or as light as you like. Okay. Then I've got this is a bigger section right here that didn't have any coloring to it. And this part can take a little time to get the right shade that you want, but just be patient with it. And then this last little corner right here. Just this little bit. And you see how some of these where the colors blend creates a kind of even another color. Now, I think we're done with that panel. That looks pretty good. I like how that turned out. Now I forgot to grab a tissue. Okay, so then you want to take a tissue or a paper towel and you just want to rub this across the image that you just stamped. And what this does is this gets the ink off of your embossed. That's why they call it emboss resist. See, it'll only pick up the ink off of the white embossed part so that you still see that pop of white come through. Okay, so we have this panel done, and now I want to cut this down. You see on this card how we have these different sections. So now I want to cut this down, and to do that I'll get my Stampin' Trimmer out, and I'm just gonna trim these. These are gonna be 1 1/4 each. So I am just gonna cut 3 of these. So you just take your snail adhesive and we will just adhere that to the back and then just center this onto your Night of Navy panel. And you'll do that again with each strip. And then what you'll do is you'll take your card base, just go ahead and put your snail on the back of that. And then I just am looking to be like 1/4 inch off on the left hand side, but at the top, since we're gonna have 3 panels, I kind of want the top closer to the edge than probably only like a little more than 1/8 inch. And then you can lay your second panel down. And you're just gonna wanna leave just a little bit of a space between these 2 panels. And I'm gonna go ahead, even though I messed up and didn't do enough of the embossed, I'm gonna go ahead and put this here just so you can see how I did the stamping. So again, I'm just gonna place this panel right here, just leaving just a little bit of a white space, not much. And I'll go back, I don't want to bore you guys on video, but I'll go back and do another panel like this and then cut my strip and attach it here. And then what you would do is you take your Night of Navy ink, and I already have the, this is the word you, and I just stamped it to the left of this last panel at the bottom, like just right at the edge of it, and to the left of it. So there's your U, and then there's, this is the words are simply, And I then just placed this one, it's a little bit hard for me to see, just below that blue panel. And I got it a little crooked, but you are simply. And then you would just add your ribbon. On this card I used the blue corduroy ribbon, which is in the Occasions catalog, I believe. Let me see if I wrote that down. Yeah, this is from the Occasions catalog. So you can get this through May, end of May, on the 2018 Occasions catalog. But I just wrapped that around. I did attach it on the back, on the bottom, or the back side with glue dots, and then tied it here just with a knot. If you need to mail this card, this knot is a little bit thick. So if you need to mail this, then I suggest you maybe use twine or a thinner ribbon. And then on the inside, I just stamped in Night of Navy with the word amazing. So sorry I goofed up on camera with this one, but like I said, I'll just add this, add the ribbon, and then you're done. But this gives you the technique, what they call emboss resist technique. So, I mean, that you'll join me again for the next video tutorial. And until then, have a great week. Bye.